Hi, everybody. This is Bill Owen with our podcast for today. Well, let's see. The subject today is going to be college football coaches. That's kind of interesting. Bring back a few memories. Those of you who follow the Pigskin Parade. We're going to try to compile the top 10. So let's work our way up from number 10. This is purely subjective, and you might have a totally different list. But there's so many candidates, some that almost made the top 10. Eddie Robinson of Grambling, who won 408 games at Grambling State. There's Bobby Bowden. Of course, he was a great coach for Florida State for some 33 years. And his offspring, Tommy. Tommy's head coach at Clemson, and Terry, head coach at Auburn, and Jeff, who was an offensive coordinator for Florida State. Quite a coaching tree there. Woody Hayes from Ohio State, of course. Biggie Munn, M-U-N-N, Biggie Munn, famous coach at Michigan State with the Spartans. There was Michigan's Bo Schembechler, Lou Holtz of Notre Dame. Well, you'll find that a couple more Notre Dame coaches are going to come up in our list when we get to the top 10. Both John Robinson and John McKay of Southern Cal and Pete Carroll, they had strong coaching credentials. Nick Saban, oh my goodness, Nick Saban of Alabama. He started out as a defensive back for Kent State University, and he was head coach for a while with the Miami Dolphins. He was with LSU. A lot of people have forgotten, from 1999 to 2004, and before moving on to Alabama. And he was at Michigan State too for a while. Yeah. Oh, the great Nick Saban. And he's on his way to possibly compiling 300 wins or even more. What an incredible coach he is. What a leader. Well, let's get to our list now, shall we? Let's see. How about, does point a minute mean anything to you football fans? Well, that was the name given to Fielding Yost for the teams he turned out at Michigan, because they averaged almost a point a minute. That's a little exaggeration, a little hyperbolic, as some mathematician figured out. It wasn't quite a point a minute, but pretty close over the years, hundreds of victories. Then there was Bernie Bierman from Minnesota. Oh, yeah. He was a great coach. And he produced 7 Big Ten titles with the Golden Gophers, 5 national championships. In fact, the Gophers of Minnesota were the first team to claim the AP national championship when they started keeping track. University of Minnesota. Been kind of down in recent years, comparatively, but he had some great teams. I say 5 national championships. He was quite an all-around coach. He also coached basketball. He played football at Minnesota. It was his native state. He coached Montana, Mississippi State, Tulane, Iowa pre-flight. Now, when I say Iowa pre-flight, unless you were around during World War II, that won't mean much to you. But they were one of the top football teams of that era, collecting a lot of the wartime athletes. In 1942, he was the head man, Bernie Bierman was, at Iowa pre-flight. Well, let's see. Working our way up the list, number 8, Darrell Royal, the great coach at the University of Texas, the Longhorns. Bud Wilkinson, of course, with Oklahoma. And in my college, my alma mater, Howard Jones and his Thundering Herd, one of the great all-timers. Joe Paterno from Penn State. There was Bear Bryant from Alabama, as well as Texas A&M. How about Amos Alonzo Stagg? Does that name ring a bell? He was one of the great pioneers. Lived to be 102 years of age. He coached for Springfield College in Massachusetts before going to University of Chicago for legendary years, and then was at the College of the Pacific later. And he also coached baseball and basketball, and he himself was a very impressive athlete. Amos Alonzo Stagg. And we mentioned Fielding Yost before. Fielding Yost was also an attorney, a very well-rounded individual. Okay, we're at number 3 with Stag. How about the top 2 turned out to be from Notre Dame? Who do you think they would be? Frank Leahy. Oh, what years he had. He used to always exaggerate. He would never be overly optimistic. I remember one year when he had a team capable of winning the national championship. He said, "We'll be lucky if we make a first down this year." That was a great Frank Leahy. Well, at the top, Knute Rockne, or as it's correctly pronounced, Knut, as you do in the movie George Gipp All-American, they call him Knut. That's the Norwegian pronunciation. I always preferred it, but a lot of people say Knute Rockne. And, well, by any measure, Rockne he's got to be the most renowned college football coach ever. An incredible winning percentage of nearly 90% at Notre Dame. He had 105 wins, only 12 losses, and 5 ties. He won 6 national championships. And he produced such legendary players as George Gipp and the Four Horsemen. Oh, it takes a real football fan to remember who the Four Horsemen were. But there was quarterback Harry Stuhlrayer and the halfbacks Sleepy Jim Crowley and Don Miller, who was the uncle of Creighton Miller, a later great Notre Dame football player, and fullback, 160-pound fullback Elmer Layden. And I'm sure you know the story, how Rockne died tragically in a plane crash in Kansas in 1931. He was only 43 years of age. Well, there's our list, from Rockne down to Leahy, Stagg, Bryant, Paterno, Jones, Wilkinson, Royal, Bierman, and Yost. And don't forget the ones that almost made the list, like Eddie Robinson and Nick Saban, Bobby Bowden, Woody Hayes, Biggie Munn, Bo Schembechler, Lou Holtz, John Robinson, John McKay, and Pete Carroll. And, of course, there are many others out there, and who knows who will be the great ones on the future that may someday make that list of the top 10 college football coaches. This is Bill Owen signing off with another podcast, and we'll be back with other things. We talk about not just sports characters, and we talk about actors, directors, movie and TV cowboys, dancers, comic strips, old-time radio shows, classical composers, comedians. There's so much to think back upon, and we do that right here on the Bill Owen Podcast. See you another time.